Africans, and Kenyans in particular, are very interesting people. Mtu akiaga dunia, life history yake ina change kabisa. Anakuwa mtu mzuri. Hata kama alikuwa mwizi, na ukienda kwa mazishi, utasikia watu wakisema fulani alikuwa mkarimu sana. Mkarimu na pesa imeibiwa. Mkarimu na pesa pengine aliua ili anyang'anye wengine. Maybe it's just me, but I believe when somebody goes to join the ancestors, you should tell nothing but the truth. For the superstitious, trust me, there are no grounds for somebody to haunt you to come back from the dead, if you tell the truth. Anyway, if truth be told about Governor Joyce Laboso, actually Dr. Joyce Laboso, this was a great Kenyan. In my view, the greatest lesson to learn from the life of the former Bomet governor is how far you can go when you're determined and focused. Because as we all know, it is not easy for a woman in Kenya to rise to a leadership position, and especially to rise to being governor of a county in Kenya. History will record that Joyce Laboso was one of the very few first governors in Kenya. And even then, the bigger story, the much bigger story, was how she became governor, or her path, her road to being governor of Bomet. But I shall come back to that in a moment. First, I would like to touch on some conspiracy theories that may not be conspiracy theories. And all this is related to a question that is on the minds of very many Kenyans. And the question is this: what is it with this thing called cancer? Manze, hii cancer imekuja kumaliza wa Kenya. Barely 3 months ago, the son of retired President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, the firstborn son, Jonathan Toroitich Moi, passed on. Cause of death? Cancer. And then others, prominent Kenyans, quickly followed. Bob Collymore, former CEO of Safaricom, cancer. Kibra legislator Ken Okoth, cancer. Now today, Joyce Laboso, cancer. What's really going on here? Do we have a crisis of this disease in our country? Or what is really going on here? This is very troubling to very many Kenyans. Now, before I came in to make this recording, I had a discussion with Mzee Hezron. And he said to me, unajua Chris, hizi cancer, zengine ni za Mungu, lakini mimi na doubt, zengine si za Mungu. My response, Hezron, si za Mungu, zimetoka wapi? Hezron, Chris, mimi najua ni mtu wa research. Unataka kuniambia haujui nini ilifanyika kwa huyu jamaa anaitwa Jack Ruby huko America? Now, of course, I don't know everything. And of course, I had no idea what happened to Jack Ruby. Now, Jack Ruby, as many of you may know, is a very famous name. It is the name of a man, who killed, shot actually to death, the suspected assassin of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. That information I already had, but I had no idea how Jack Ruby ended up dying. So I went and did a bit of research. And this is what Mr. Google told me. Shortly before Jack Ruby was due to testify before Congress, concerning the assassination of John F. Kennedy, he passed on. Cause of death? Cancer. Now, shortly before his death, Bwana Ruby had been complaining that he was being injected with cancer cells. By the way, this was in the 60s, 1967. Many on this channel were not born. I myself was barely 3 years old. Now, my brief research enabled me to understand where Bwana Hezron was going with what he was telling me. However, all this reminded me of a conspiracy theory which I came across many years ago. Actually, I believe it is more than a conspiracy theory. Yeah. And I will tell you why in a minute. A Senate Select Committee was told in 1975 that the American CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, had developed a poison dart capable of triggering a heart attack and also cancer. Now, when something gets to a select committee, in my view, it is no longer a conspiracy theory. And what unfolded in later years in Latin America is very interesting. The world witnessed a chain of Latin American leaders who suffered from cancer. And interestingly, what all these leaders had in common is that they had policies that were not exactly friendly to Uncle Sam. Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff, lymphoma cancer. Yeah. Her predecessor, Luiz da Silva, throat cancer. Chavez Hugo, Venezuela president, cancer. Argentinian President Nestor Kirchner, colon cancer. Fidel Castro, stomach cancer. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything about what is happening in Kenya. I'm just saying or mentioning the kinds of things that come to people's minds when what is unfolding in our country starts to worry so many Kenyans. Hopefully, even as we do our best in Kenya to try and improve the way we handle this deadly disease, this mystery will also be solved. Because I believe it is much more than a coincidence. It's just too much. We are losing too many people, valuable people in society, to cancer. Anyway, back to Laboso. Now, as a political analyst, I first came across the name Joyce Laboso shortly after June 2008. Because on June 10th, 2008, the country was in shock because a light aircraft crashed, killing an assistant minister and a cabinet minister who were inside that aircraft. That assistant minister was Lorna Laboso, sister to Joyce Laboso. The minister, of course, was Kipkalia Kones, a name which many older Kenyans will remember. And of course, there was a lot of gossip at the time that there may have been something serious going on between Kipkalia Kones and Lorna Laboso. Some even said that the two had a love child together. Anyway, at the funeral of Lorna Laboso, her sister Joyce gave a very moving tribute to her sister. And she mentioned something which surprised most people. She said that shortly before Lorna Laboso had burst into national politics, she had been down and out in life. She was going through a lot of difficulties, which is normally this life. But she bounced back, and even won a parliamentary seat. Now, many people were very surprised when Joyce Laboso declared, her intention of vying for the by-election, to take over her late sister's parliamentary seat. But in retrospect, it is clear that Joyce was very determined to take over where her sister had left off, as a tribute, to a sibling that she must have really loved. And that is where her political journey started. A woman with no political experience bursting into politics is no small deal. And in my view, she went right to the top by getting elected as the Bomet governor in a very contentious, heated campaign in the 2017 general elections, where she dethroned incumbent governor of Bomet, Isaac Ruto, a very experienced politician. Now, we have said, or rather I said right from the beginning, that here we shall stick to the truth and nothing but the truth. And the truth is, former Bomet governor Isaac Ruto has always insisted that he was rigged out of that election by powerful government forces who wanted him out because of his political inclination. However, Even if that is true, in my view, this does not dampen the achievements of the late Joyce Laboso. Not even the fact that she was going through a lot of difficulties in her last months as governor of Bomet will dampen the achievement of this great Kenyan who happens to be a woman. And that is my view. You're welcome to your own. But given my experience in politics, given what I know happens in politics, and the challenges people face, especially if you're a woman, Joyce ended up going much further than her late sister Lorna Laboso would ever have imagined. Now, what political difficulties am I talking about? Well, let me just give you one instance, an example. In the New Year celebrations in Bomet County in January 2019, this year, Governor Laboso was unable to deliver her speech. Why? Because the whole function, which was supposed to be a celebratory function to usher in the new year, but also an official one where the governor addressed the residents of Bomet, the meeting was disrupted by a very rowdy crowd who were chanting slogans of the Chama Chamashinani. And of course, Chama Chamashinani belongs to Isaac Ruto, the governor of Bomet, the former governor of Bomet, indeed the first governor of Bomet, who was dethroned by Joyce Laboso. In fact, on your screens right now, you should be able to see a photograph of Joyce dancing. Probably one of the last jigs she did before she started feeling not too well. Fare thee well, Governor Laboso. May history never fail to reveal your triumphs and your great strides, even as it reveals the weaknesses in your life. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.